Let's make some smiley faces in Adobe Illustrator. This is what we're going to be creating. So we have like a sad face, a mad face, and a standard smiley face. First off, and we can just come out here into our little gray space. We don't have to make it on the artboard necessarily. Let's start by creating the head by creating a circle. So we go over here to our Ellipse Tool. We might see the rectangle tool over here, and we can just click and hold and go down to Ellipse Tool. The shortcut key for that is L. Now as you start creating a shape, it's going to be an oval shape. To make it a circle, hold Shift, and we're just going to create a circle, however size, whatever size you want it. Now I have a stroke on the outside of my circle. So whether you're over here on the left-hand side where you see fill and stroke, or you look over in your properties panel to the right and you see fill and stroke over here, it doesn't matter. I'm going to make a stroke of 45 points. Now yours may or may not look different from this depending on how large you made your circle. So if you wanted to scale it up to fit and look about the same as mine and then create that stroke, you can do that as well. Now while you're scaling, pay attention to this. In the transform panel under more options are scale, strokes, and effects. For the time being, to start this, I'm going to actually turn that off because I don't want to accidentally scale up my strokes. I want to create the stroke at 45 point and make sure every stroke in my document is the same. Now let's go back to the head here. I'm going to change the color of this. The quickest way I like to do is just to double click on the fill on the left hand side here. And that opens up the color picker. And from here I can select a nice yellow and hit OK. So we've got this black or dark outline. If you want to look at the hex code for mine, I guess mine's kind of a purple. You could also choose whatever dark color you want. And then we have the yellow on the inside. Now I'm going to start by creating the eyes. Now the eyes are just going to be ellipses. I don't know how to say that, but they're going to be circles or ovals again. So we're just going to create some vertical circles here, or like oval shapes. And once we do that, it's probably going to have the fill and stroke from the original head that we created here, this shape. So I can go over, click on the fill because I want that fill to be dark. And what I actually want is for it to be the same color as this stroke. So I can click this double-ended arrow here to flip-flop those and then go to the stroke. I don't actually want a stroke on this, so I'm going to go down here and just hit either the / or none right there. Now we just have an oval shape out here, and we can bring them on top of the head just like that. If it goes behind that, what you can do is select the circle shape here, right click, go to arrange and send to back. That's going to send this circle to the very back, so you should be able to see this on top of it now. So we've got an eye here, and we just created it whatever size we want. We can duplicate this out by holding Option or Alt on Windows, clicking and dragging. Now you might be able to drag it accidentally kind of off kilter here. So we're also going to hold Shift while we're doing this. So holding Alt or Option on Mac and then Shift, we can drag this out and keep it in line with the other eye. So we drag it out however far we want. And what I like to do from here is to be able to center these eyes. I'm going to select everything here, deselect by holding Shift, this bigger circle. Now I just have these two eyes selected. The other way you can do that is click on an eye, hold Shift, and click on the other eye to select any amount of objects you want. And then we're going to right click and go to Group. Now the shortcut key for that is Command G on Mac or Control G on Windows. So once we have this as a group, then we can select everything again, and we want to line up these eyes to this circle. We want to center them. So we're going to click on the circle again. Notice the darker outline. That makes it a key object. And if we find our alignment panel over here, if we look at more options, we're actually now aligning to that key object since we selected one. And we can just do a horizontal align center, and the eyes are going to center up in the middle of this. That's perfect. All right, so there's two ways we could go about creating the mouth shape for this. We could split off a part of the circle, or we could create a line and then we can create like an arc with that line. Let's go ahead and do it that way first. I'll also show you how you could split off the circle. Okay, so we're going to create a line with the line segment tool. That's just a little forward slash as your shortcut key. And I'm just going to create a line straight across. Now this line could be diagonal and stuff, so once again, let's hold Shift so we can create it just straight across here. and we're gonna let go. Now that line has 0 stroke or fill right now. So what I would like is to copy this stroke from the circle onto this line. So while this line is selected, I'm gonna press I. Notice over here in the tools, that is the eyedropper tool. And if we just click on this circle, what we pulled from that is both the stroke and the fill. And what I want to do is get rid of the fill, but that allowed me to keep the same exact stroke and the stroke color. All those properties are in this line now. So what we can do to get rid of the fill is click on the fill over here, bring it to the front, and then just hit that slash icon right there. Okay, so you might notice we're a little bit squared off with our edges here. So I'm going to click on this line, go over to stroke and click on that little stroke link right there. That opens up the stroke options, and we want the caps to be rounded. So at the ends or the caps of our line, it's just going to round off, which I think works a lot better with the circle. Smiley face looks a little bit more polished. Now what we can do with this also is to click on an edge with that selection tool, and we can scale it up and down. I'm doing so from the center by holding Option or Alt. If I wasn't holding Option or Alt, it's just going to scale one side like this. So hold Option or Alt, and if you don't want to accidentally do this, you can hold Shift as well. So Shift, Option, Alt, all that can scale from the center just like this. And that is with the regular selection tool, right? The shortcut key for that is V. So if we scale this about to where we want it, and then we select both the head, circle, and this mouth, and we click back on this, we're aligning to the key object again, we can center it up, and now it's centered right here. So this is that kind of like meh face. So you can keep that, and we could just select all of this, hold Option or Alt, and duplicate it, just like that. So what we're doing is, hey, we created one face, let's just use that as a template to now create a smile. So like I said, we created this to then create an arc with it. What we can do is select this line by clicking on it, press P, that's the shortcut key for the pen tool. Now while we have the pen tool here, we could certainly add points and mess around with all the points or the anchors, but another cool thing is by holding Option or by holding Alt, we get this sort of, I don't even know what it's called, it's like a little arc tool. It's not even in here. I don't know what it is, but we can adjust the arc of our line here just by holding Option. You see how it's got like a double-ended anchor point with a curve on the cursor. That's that little arc tool. So we can pull this down. Now I clicked when I saw this intersection here. If you guys are not seeing these pink lines, just go up to View, down to Smart Guides, and make sure that's checked. That allows you to quickly sort of see where's this center intersection right here. And once I click there, I can pull it down and keep it in line. Now there's one thing here you need to know. A lot of times I've been telling you hold Shift while you do this. Well, when we hold Shift, the anchor points are straight up and down. You see that? And it creates kind of like a weird smile, in my opinion. So if we're just careful and we use those smart guides to lock us in place, I think it creates a much nicer smile. But yeah, you can see the difference just by holding Shift or not holding Shift, just like this. Now I'm still holding Alt or Option as I'm dragging this down and just create the smile that you want, like that. Now you could stop here, or we could, duplicate this again, select all, hold Option or Alt, pull it out here. And I'm going to show you the width tool. So with any stroke or line segment, anything like that, we can actually determine the width at different parts of this. So Shift W is the shortcut key. It kind of looks like this over here, the width tool icon right there. And what we can do is find that center point again. So find that little intersection, click, and drag up and down. See how it changes the width? So we could find sort of where we want kind of the mouth to be open, let go, and there we go. We have a bit more of like an open mouth. So this is like a closed mouth smile. This is more of an open mouth. And if you don't like the location of it, like I think it's a little bit low, we can click on this and we could just bump it up. We could use the arrow keys, hold Shift and use the arrow keys and just press up and down to find the placement that we like. So there we go. I mean, we created a smile really quick. Now, really quick, back here I talked about, hey, we could do a line segment or we could do like split off part of the circle. So what we could do with splitting off part of this circle is maybe pull the smile from the bottom portion of this circle. So what I'm gonna do real quick is just duplicate this circle out, holding Option or Alt. I just need a circle. Press M, that's the rectangle tool. We're gonna create a rectangle and create it so that it intersects, and I'm looking at the bottom portion right here. I'm trying to sort of line it up so this bottom part where the rectangle is not, where I can still see part of the circle, is gonna be the smile. So we're gonna let it go right about there. Press V, which is that selection tool, and select both of these objects. Press Shift M, that's the shape builder tool over here. You can see the icon. Now, this allows us to basically see all the different parts of our shape. There's two ways we can do this. We can hold Option, which our cursor now has a minus on it, and we could subtract out different pieces. Like I could subtract out this line, maybe these lines, and then the rectangle line. And you'll notice now we have a smiley face, right? That can be a little bit complex to do, so we could have all this selected, use that shape builder tool, and we could hold minus and just remove everything that's not the bottom smile, right? So when we do that, we have this connected bottom smile. And what we can do here is press C, and that's the scissors tool, and we can actually cut this at these two anchor points right here, just by clicking on them. And then we have, back to the selection tool, shortcut key is V. We have this sort of bottom piece and this top piece, so we can just delete out the top piece. And then we can take this, make sure it does not have a fill, and we could always use our stroke to round the caps again. And now you see it, that we created sort of the same smile. It's a little bit big, so we could select it and grab one of these edge pieces and kind of scale it down, holding Shift and Option or Alt on PC. And because we do not have Scale, Stroke, and Effect selected, this stroke point stays at 45 no matter how I scale that. So I can make this as big or small as I want. It was right here. If this was selected, the Scale, Strokes, and Effects, then this is actually just gonna get smaller. See how it's now tiny? That's because we actually, as we scaled it, scaled that stroke. Just wanted to show you that difference really quick so you understand why we have this turned off right now. Because we wanna work with 45 point, we just wanna make this bigger or smaller. So that's another way to get to a smile. We could use the width tool again to create this look over here. So whichever way you want to do that, those are two different ways to get to the same point. Now let's go ahead and make a sad face. I'm actually going to just duplicate this guy out. We're going to change the color just by selecting the background circle, double clicking that the yellow, and changing it to a blue. Somewhere up in here would work, just like that. And then we can make this sad really quick just by, flipping this upside down. So we select the mouth, we go to our properties panel, and we actually have two icons here that let us flip horizontal and vertical. So I'm gonna flip vertical, and now we have a sad face. You can adjust the position of this however you'd like. But we have a sad face now. Now we can take this sad face and we're actually gonna make it a mad face. So we're gonna do that by adding some eyebrows here, and also I think changing the color can help. So we go up to the red, maybe mute this a little bit, not as saturated this way. This is like light and dark. It's light up top, dark down below, and then saturation left to right. So I'm gonna hit OK. Now we have the red, and we need a mad eyebrow here. So we're gonna zoom in a little bit. That's Command or Control plus and minus to easily zoom in. Now let's create a line segment again, and we're gonna create it so it's just kind of like this, right? And once we create that line segment, if your stroke is not the same as mine, we can always hit I for that eyedropper tool and eyedropper this bigger circle again, so we know we've got the 45 point, and then we can just turn off the fill. Now once again, we're gonna go to stroke, and I'm gonna round off those caps just like that. I think I accidentally just used the eyedropper tool, so we'll undo that real quick. I liked the length of it a second ago, so I'm gonna go to what is the direct selection tool. The shortcut key for that is A. I'm gonna click on this top anchor point and just kind of bring it down. So I clicked it once to select it, and then I can drag it down just like that. I'm gonna go back to P for the pen tool, hold Option or Alt, and kind of curve this middle section just to give it a little something. And then also Shift W, that's the width tool. And we're going to increase the width of the middle as well, just to give it a little bit more character than a straight line. And you know what you can also do is if you feel like the edges are too wide, you can take those and actually grab them and kind of scale them down a little bit, right? So we could take these two edges of the eyebrow and sort of scale them down if we wanted, or maybe you just want it to be a little bit wider and then kind of taper off here on the edge. That's what you can do, and adjust it with the width tool however you'd like. Now what I would like is to just have this exact same shape, eyebrow and eye, over here on the left hand side. So I'm actually going to ungroup these, right click, ungroup, and I'm going to delete this left eye. Now I could leave it there as like a template for where to put that eye, but I'm not going to do that. But if you wanted it to be in the exact same spot as the other smiley faces, you could have left that piece there, and then we'll duplicate, flip this, and you could have drug it over, but I didn't care about the placement as much, but I'm just letting you know that's maybe how you might do that. So as we can shift click both of these to grab them, I'm actually going to group them together just by right clicking, go into group, and then I'm going to hold Option or Alt, duplicate it out, also holding Shift so I don't accidentally do this. So I'm going to hold Shift, keep it in line, bring it out to about here, let go. Now this is grouped together, so if I hit flip horizontal, it's just going to flip that guy horizontal, kind of get these spaced out as far as I want them, and then I can select them both by holding Shift, and I can actually group these two groups. So now I've got a group of two groups, and this group, if I shift click on the outside, or if I click and drag to select the group and this outside head, I can center it to that. Remember, just by clicking on that, hitting center right here, it didn't do much, but just a little bit, I actually had it pretty centered. So you'll notice if I do left, right, center, all right, that's going to center that. And we can zoom out a little bit, and we have kind of a mad face here, right? Now, I can always make edits to this. So when I look at it, I think these eyebrows might be just placed a little too high. So I can double click into this group, and I'm in isolation mode here. So now I'm only inside this group. I actually can't even select anything else. And you notice everything else is grayed out except for what was inside of my group, which are these two pieces. Now, I don't have to double click into this to edit it. I can actually use that direct selection tool, click on this, oops, I can click off of, so I can click on just this path. It had both selected, but I just wanted this one. And I could use those arrow keys maybe to bump down these eyebrows a little bit. Now, if you count how much you do it, and I didn't count, so I'm gonna undo that so we can do it the exact same. But I'm just showing you guys that if we double click in here, and then we use the direct selection tool, we can click on an eyebrow, hold Shift maybe, and use the down arrow key. Nope, clicked on the wrong portion here. Hold Shift, use the down arrow key, and that's gonna bring that eyebrow down. I can do the same thing with this eyebrow. Now, when you see those handles, that means you don't have the right spot clicked. I just want the path. So if I see the handles, like if I click on an anchor and I see the handles, it's actually gonna adjust one point or the handles or do something weird. So I just want this path. So make sure you don't see the handles while you're doing this. That'll let you move it. And if you wanted to, you could extend this out. We could use the arrow keys like Shift up and down, left and right. And I think I'll Shift left this one. So that's the exact same edit. And there we go. We have a mad face, a smiley face, and a sad face. If you guys have any comments, just let me know down below. And I'll see you guys in the next one.